it was just the way it just felt like another world. Like the cows were just roaming around. The chickens were everywhere. They were eating food scraps, the beautiful, bountiful gardens. And it was really lush. But he gave us a machete and a lighter when we got there, and we could see like a woods, but just like Jumanji, like the lantana, what it does, it wraps around trees and kills them from, like literally chokes them. And then he went, go through there, these like contours in the land, and we're trying to expose it. So he just, like it's a bit of like a 10-year-old stream, machete like whoa. And he went back, chop, drop, burn, pretty much. And then we done so much in a day that he was like, you guys have got to come back. And then we just had this agreement with him that we'll do the 88 days on his land, because we was half hour away from the beach, not in the middle of the outback.
Okay, so everything you still wanted to be within touching distance of, you were. So that box was checked,
we got back to the hostel every day. Okay. But it was the first day, and he was like, go for lunch, just go grab some eggs, go to the garden, grab some tomatoes, grab an onion, grab this, grab that. Again, first time harvesting, so gone back in, and then we cracked the eggs in the pan. I was like, oh my gosh, they're so like nuclear orange. I've never seen anything like that. I was like, what have you done? And he was like, oh, this is what real eggs look like. And I was like, oh, okay. We're having like an omelette or something, and I'm eating it, and I'm like, oh my, that taste is just blowing my mind. But it was particularly the tomato, so I grabbed that individually, put it in my mouth, and as that exploded. So I had an epiphany. I was like, how does food taste that good? I was like, what have you done to it? And he's like, none of that English shit here, mate. Like, just pretty much we eat chips, mushy peas when they come here. And I felt robbed. 24 years of my life, I'd never had real food. Grew up on like shepherd's pie and whatever else we eat here, pretty much like our English diet. But I felt I'd never had farm fresh food. And epiphany, that was the junction where I just went, right, I want to do something within this. But I've had 3 epiphanies in my journey in the last 10 years, and they're all shoveling manure. Shoveling manure.
That's been the catalyst.
Yeah, so it's like meditation, right? So it's a monotonous job, boring job, but like you got to do it. That is like another thing, like the brawn of it. And I remember like sweating, 40-degree heat. It was like disgusting. Just sweating, manure, it stunk. But the peace I had doing it, and the whole, I'm just using this poo that's come from the cow. They've been eating the grass, then it goes back onto the soil and we're growing healthy food. Then that goes in the compost bin. It was the whole circularity thing where I'd been traveling, and I've always had a affinity to nature and the environment, and it just felt right what I was doing. And I was like, this is what I want to do I said it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was like a statement that I just went print in your brain, and then from that point onwards, all my energy's gone into that ever since.
There's a manifestation at that stage, isn't there?
Yeah.
If you speak it out loud, it imprints it somewhere, and it makes it, as you say, a statement. It holds you accountable in some way, shape or form if you can articulate it, if you're fortunate enough to be able to get to that space. I think that's great. What I am thinking, 24 years old, there's a perception that maybe, and we're going to talk about you having allotments and farms. And all of these things.
There was a segue there to.
That's fine.
Yeah,
but I am going to jump in, because maybe this bridges nicely to where you then get the opportunity to work on the allotment too.
Yeah.
But the perception is that maybe you find this a little later in life. And I don't know if you're aware of this or whether it's just my world that I'm in. My experience of having an allotment was lockdown. And I was on that allotment plot looking around, and I was, let's say, the youngest person on that plot by 30, 40 years, right? Yeah. So the demographic is not the one that you would usually say. I'm not your typical demographic going on an allotment. And I just wonder what your friends maybe back in Essex were thinking of you now coming back and sticking a statement in the ground saying, I want to do this. Not specifically allotment at that time, but a life outside, a life.
Nah, it was the allotment.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It was. So I come back from Australia, like my hair was down here. I even had a bit of a twang, because where I lived in Australia was so Australian. And I think Essex and the Australian accent ain't that different.
Well, they get mistaken as well, right?
Yeah.
If you go to the States,
I still get mistaken.
One of the first things Americans think if you're from Essex, is that you might be Australian. That's usually the one they'll go to. But so you got back with this Australian twang.
Yeah, like
long hair.
It got knocked out after a party with my mates. They were like just ripping me, and I was like, I've got to get rid of this straight away. But yeah, so come home at 25, long hair, like. And then I remember the first 3 days I was home, I applied for allotment and got one. Like normally there's long waiting lists, but I just hit a time when I think, a few people dropped out, or unfortunately they're that gold dust that you have to wait for people to die, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I got mine during COVID. Which again, you just read between the lines on that. But I do think a lot of the time it's people later in life that want to see that out, and they're oversubscribed, and
definitely
it happens,
Yeah, it was like getting the allotment, then applying what I was learning, that I had been learning, and then like every YouTube video. But at the time, like now gardening on Instagram and YouTube, like you could find loads on there, but honestly I couldn't find hardly anything, and I was watching really like random stuff, but I was just thirsty for the knowledge. I'm not a big reader, I'm a visual learner.
Okay, so school of YouTube now for you, or because we speak a lot about that. Tom, Rob, both fans of School of YouTube. We've had some guests that have learned so much, like really learnt their trade from YouTube videos. Me too, really. And the doing. I'm a doer. So, my friends ripped me to like, what are you doing? Turn into a hippie, blah, blah, blah. But then I was going to the pub for shoveling manure with a head torch on at night. Like there was something fueled that if you're skipping the pub to go shovel manure because it's just come to the allotment and you want to be the first one there to get the prime soil, something's changed, right? You've rewired.
My mates gave me a lot of jib, but now they're the ones DMing me going, Jack, I've grown chilies, and now I get a lot of they're asking me for advice, and now I've done one of their gardens or two of their gardens now, so it's come full circle.
So it's nice as well that didn't lead to a break of that group of friends or whoever was giving you grief at the time. But I'd say 25 and coming home from Australia with long hair, a twang, having had this epiphany, going straight for an allotment. I'm just imagining I'd love to have been kind enough, and I think I probably would have been compassionate enough if a friend of mine had done the same thing. But I also think I know what it's like. I know the banter that's going to come from that too. But yeah, for you then to shun the pub, to go and do that, you could see straight away that commitment was really, you were following through on that, which I think is amazing.
There is another like segue where I did go on another travel trip that does link it a lot more together.
Okay.
So I went I'd done 6 months at the allotment, got to winter again. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Right.
Done the same again. Internet. Permaculture. This is that farm in Australia was a permaculture farm,
right? Which
just means it's a holistic, a more natural way of doing the farming. It's an umbrella term, but it is the most harmonious way to grow.
Right. And was that the first time you were introduced to that word or that phrase, permaculture?
Yeah, maybe like one of the last days I was there, I flicked through a book and every page kind of spoke to me. I was like, wow, this is like a guide to life. And I still think it's the most underspoken, like it's a topic that I do want to get into the world more and more. And I think it's great, and it can be applied to your life as well as a garden.
Okay.
But yeah, where was I? Was at internet again, permaculture farms. Wherever the first hit was, I was going to Costa Rica on a Thursday. Was in Costa Rica Saturday.
The Thursday to Saturday thing seems to be a link,
I know.
right?
It's honestly mental. Like it was just like, again, you need to get your jabs and all this sort of stuff. And just that spontaneity of like, I want to do this, and I was fueled to do it. And yeah, ended up in the middle of the Costa Rican jungle, a place called Finca Tierra, Earth Farm in Spanish. And it was an edible food forest. So everything was, if it weren't edible, it was medicinal, 90% edible, 10% medicinal. And that fascinated me. Like they Willy Wonka the shit out of this place. That's what I love about it. And I'd now say I'm like Willy Wonka for plants, because I try and get food in everywhere, in every garden, every space. But this inspired it, this farm. So Done a permaculture course, 72 hours, so it's stretched over 2 weeks, just off grid, barely use your phone. You were just in it, and at night the noise of the jungle was just intense. Like it was like a boom, boom, like crickets, locusts, howler monkeys that sound like King Kong. It's like a monkey this big. It's like the one from Friends.
Yeah, got
yeah, Rossi's
okay.
monkey.
Yeah.
I think a howler monkey.
Right.
So there's something so small where it's like this, ooh, 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 and there's loads of them, and they're just like, whoa, what is coming through those bushes? But yeah, this whole place had this like, it was an ecosystem. It was very holistic. Like the way what fascinated me was the design. So permaculture is how you design a place. All the buildings are at the top of the in the jungle. They were the highest point of the land. All the rain was captured when it went into a pipe. We had a compost heap midway down. So we're adding material that's going to heat up. So there was a coil of pipe, then it come back out. So the water is getting heated up on the way. At the bottom of the hill, showers. So we had a hot shower from rainwater. And what was outside those showers was a plant called Hawaiian ginger. You squeeze it, turns into a gloop. In your hair, it's natural shampoo. The design of the place was mad. And then we'd been on this farm like a couple of days. We're walking around everywhere. And they're like, guys, the path you've been walking on, what does it look like? Like, oh, grass. Like, pick it up. Boom, it's peanuts. So you're walking on food. So like everything was just edible. It was mad. So,
your description of Willy Wonka in the shit out of the place now makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
It's just, but we can do that here, and I do that in gardens here as well.
Well, you can see, like, I can't help. I'm trying to stop beaming at you when you're talking, because you can see, and I have the absolute pleasure of sitting across from people who are so clearly passionate about what they do that it emanates out of them, and you can see, like, you are so joyous when you're talking about it, and I love that. So I'm like, oh my God, this just sounds so exciting.